the voluntary sector, and other partner agencies to develop the MINT model, which is in full the mental health integrated network team. These teams would include access to psychological therapies, improved physical health care, employment support, personal and traumatic informed care, medicine management, support for self-harm and coexisting substance misuse, and proactive work to address racial disparities. The main service aims to create a flexible, proactive, and holistic model of community-based mental health care for people with moderate to severe mental illness across a range of diagnoses and needs, as outlined in the community mental health framework. And I'm not sure if all the organizations have had access to the community mental health framework, which sort of informs the delivery of MINT and the new way of working in mental health. The new model of community mental health care would support the journey towards a place-based model of mental health care, delivering timely, high-quality integrated services, would be proactive and holistic support focused on individual services. The service aims to provide specialist support for people with complex needs, including coexisting substance misuse, neurodevelopmental disorders, those with self-harm, young and older adults. I think part of the development of the service is now looking at developing older adults mental health service as well. The trust is now looking to set up. It would increase the partnership working to create smoother transition for people moving between different services. We aim to develop an inclusive service, improving access for people who might fall through the gap. A whole population approach to reduce and minimize health inequalities experienced by specific group, and addressing racial disparities, as I've mentioned before. The aim of the service really is to improve on the availability of services, ensure that there's timely access to care, ensure that we develop appropriate support and resources, social determinants including deprivation and inequalities in the service. The framework puts mental health service at the heart of the community. It's really for the community to be wrapped around the service rather than the service wrapped around the community. So it kind of focus around community and the population, linking closely with primary care, PCNs, and other services and resources. Jamie, I think you've taken over the slides, have you?
So which slide are we on?
We're going on to slide 3.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, is that? Okay, no, mine's coming up. I'll be quiet, sorry.
Taking over the slides, because for some reason.
So I'm screen sharing, Antonia, because it wasn't appearing. So if you let me know when you want things to move, I will move them along.
Okay, so can we move to slide 3?
Okay, so we're on slide 3. We have been for a while because what you're looking at the moment
is slide 3.
Is slide 3.
Okay, should we move to slide 4 then? The West London Mental Health Trust are leading in the transformation of the services, working with a range of partners, including primary care networks, local authorities, the voluntary sector, which is why it's really useful. This presentation today is really useful to kind of include everyone in the discussions around the service that we're currently developing and supporting the development of the service. Community and social enterprises, community groups, patients, service users, carers, and experts with experience. We're hoping that all these groups would work with the trust to develop this new model of working. West London Trust has been selected by the NHS as a pilot to develop these services, to improve as one of the 12 early implementers to develop this new model of integrated primary and community mental health care across 18 primary care networks. Our role is to work in partnership to redesign the service at systems level, establishing mental health integrated network teams, delivering high quality, needs-based interventions and timely access to care within the community we serve. The implementation we're hoping would see the development of close partnership working with our primary care colleagues, the voluntary sector and other partners. It would focus on delivering adults, working closely with adults in need of mental health rehabilitation, adults with eating disorders, adults with complex mental health difficulties who had diagnosed with personality disorder. The transformation of the services for working age adults, older adults, and young adults aged 18 to 25, and would develop a workforce, both clinical and non-clinical roles, work to address inequalities, engaging with groups that often experience difficulties in accessing care and poorer outcomes from mental health services. I'll move now to my colleague, Craig, who would talk to the slide number 5.
Thanks, Antonia. I think before to touch on before we talk about the benefits of the change, I think it's really important that we acknowledge why we need to change and why our mental health services need to make some quite dramatic changes as well. And I think Dan shared the link in the chat for the Community Mental Health Framework for Adults, and it's really worth a read in terms of explaining why we need to change. But some of the reasons why we need to change is currently as mental health services in the NHS for adults, we're kind of siloed, we're on the side. And on top of that, we are hard to reach. So you might work with people in the community, you think, oh, they need mental health inputs. So then you've got to refer to us. So when you come to us, and we're quite fragmented, you've got to refer, and then there'll be a criteria. So we won't accept patients currently if they meet a certain criteria. So it's a barrier. So even the way things are at the moment, even if we do refer and accept, there'll be waiting lists. So then by the time you're on that waiting list to get treatment, there's all other sorts of issues that go on. So there might be relapse, you might deteriorate further. There's loads of issues such as we're not really engaging with you guys who probably know the population better than even we do. However, we still try and take the lead and say what needs to happen. So I think with some of these changes, what we really want to focus on is removing some of these barriers to care and treatment for mental health. We want to be much more, you want to be able to access us easier and quicker. So we were talking a little bit about the place-based care. So being more visible, whether that's around the primary care networks, and we want to be able to work a lot more closely with you guys. We'll be very much focused on early intervention as well. We want to start getting in there early, rather than having to wait for people in the community to already be at crisis point or relapsing really severely, where they have to go straight from community straight to acute services such as inpatient or time under the crisis team. And these are some of the benefits that will benefit us all, the community as a whole, not just our patients, but how we all flow and work together. So these are some of the key sort of changes which we're hoping to implement with this new model and this new way of working. So I think we can sort of go on to the next slide, because you will all be given a copy of these slides for you to have a read of as well. You can come back to us with questions too, even outside of this meeting. But if we could go into the next slide, please, that would be good. So we're just going to touch on what we're sort of looking at in terms of the model and what we're hoping to achieve. And I have touched on some of it already. But this system and this model hasn't been designed by us, which is what's happened before. I think services have come in from the NHS saying, this is what you need, this is what works. So this is a different approach. So this has been designed, and the community mental health framework has been designed by expert by experience. So that's people from all around, all around England have contributed to this new model, which we're moving towards. And there will be some stuff that you've heard before, I'm sure. Like we have to have the individual and the community in the center of everything that we do. But what we want, and what we've been hearing from the volunteer sector as well and our community partners, is we need to change, and you need to work more closely with us. So we've heard that, you know, and we agree. There needs to be a shift, and there needs to be a change in how we support you guys. And what this new model will also do, it will help us move away from the sort of medical model only. So sometimes, even if you get to our service, it will be like, oh, take this tablet, come back in 6 months. You know, it's not having that holistic approach, which our communities and our patients really need. And sometimes it's not always a case that us as the NHS or the acute services are best at understanding or delivering these services. And sometimes it's you guys out in the community that have a much better understanding of our community's needs and our patients' needs. So some of these communities that we're not reaching within the NHS, which we would expect to reach, we're not getting them all, you know, and this model is to try and address that. I think also when we look at reasons why we're not reaching some people, and it can be from stigma to cultural issues. And we believe, and from what we're hearing from you guys as well, is that sometimes you are better at understanding that and getting access to these communities. And we want to be part of that. We want to be working in partnership, not setting siloed, saying, oh, well, we think this person needs this, or they're not old, they're not unwell enough for us to sort of step in and intervene. We want to be much more working closely with you guys within the primary care networks within the service. So we will be looking at trauma-informed care, but also positive strength-based assessments, and really working with you guys and really listening to you guys as well. So that was really it from this part of section for me. Rob, I don't know if you want to move on and explain the sort of stepped kind of care approach.
Sure. So, I mean, I've put the slide up there that defines the kind of stepped care model, and it is a slightly different way of really representing what we've already talked what Craig has already talked about. Rather than us delivering a very medical siloed approach to care, we want to actually be engaged a lot more with communities, a lot more with people, and we think we want to build and support inclusive communities. So we want to work along and get a lot closer to the community and work alongside you guys in partnership, and actually understand how we can support you and how we can work together to really deliver the right kind of care for the care and the right kind of offer for every individual who has a need. So some of that will be about us moving closer to you, but also some of it is about us learning how we work together, and actually that thinking more holistically. So thinking about how we work together, how people's faith, creativity, art, could be art-based stuff, exercise, and all of the different components of people's lives all work together to for people's care. Obviously, beyond that, we are looking to deliver some of the more specialist interventions that we've done, but we don't want to be just stuck within those traditional siloed approaches. So we want to be thinking about how we can offer open groups that are based on skills rather than based on necessarily completely based on formal therapy. But still, for those people who need it, as you can see, as you move up the pyramid, there's there are specialist closed groups, which are the more formal therapy offers and those individual therapy offers. But we want to move beyond that and actually be thinking about the promotion and prevention work alongside you guys, and everything that you are building and working with, everything that you already do in a two-directional model. So it's not just about us parachuting in and saying we're the experts, but actually thinking about how we genuinely create pathways that where we work together to get the best for every individual. So part of the work that's been done was a piece of work done by an organisation called We Co-Produce. Now, the We Co-Produce organisation are some of us are a group of service users, carers, and interested others who work alongside the trust to help us to understand, to give people who use our services already a very clear voice in how services are shaped. So part of what as part of the work that's going forward, a piece of work was delivered by our co-production partners, We Co-Produce, and they highlighted a number of key areas that we need to think about. And this kind of links into everything that myself, Craig, and Antonia have said so far. Coming from the people who use our services, the kind of key principles that they've reflected that we would like is they'd like to see a more strengths-based approach to wellness and recovery, as opposed to us thinking about problems and symptoms. To be thinking about, again, how we work with the community and voluntary sector to deliver joined up care, rather than it being a referral on from us and then everything disappears. Thinking about how we work together with families, friends, and support networks. So getting very real about what it means about engaging with the community as part of core support mechanisms for people who are having a really tough time. Actually using measures and tools that matter to wellness, so moving beyond measuring symptoms and actually thinking about, well, what is the impact of whatever's going on from you in your day-to-day life, and being able to measure that and checking that what we're delivering actually helps to improve that. And thinking about how we involve our stakeholders in developing the MINT model, and we'll come back to that in a few minutes. They've suggested that we need to keep our specialist services and ensure that these are available where they're needed most, as we talked about, but also to build upon and work alongside all of our local assets, which very much you are part of, so that we think about providing integrated place-based offers, as Craig was saying, adapted to the need of diverse populations. Now, we're very aware that we deliver sort of some very traditional services, and that can make us hard to access. It can be, for some communities, what we offer feels a bit alien and a bit alienating, and we want to think together with you about how we change that and how we offer more culturally sensitive services and services that meet the needs of the community more broadly, as opposed to the subset of the community that we traditionally see. And part of that is about thinking about wellness and recovery through a holistic approach, and making sure that physical and mental health are considered for people who've got complex needs as equals, rather than thinking about, well, physical health belongs over here and mental health belongs over there, and never the twain shall actually talk to each other. So another area that we are looking at, I mean, some of the as they've called big deal fillings, as they've called it, because they've reflected it as a menu type approach, is thinking about digital platforms, thinking about some of that alongside our traditional offers. So we don't want to completely move to digital, because we know for some people that's really hard, but actually where that is more useful for some people, to have those on offer. To think about expanding our trauma-informed interventions. We know that a lot of people who've experienced challenges around their mental health have had some kind of trauma in their background, and thinking about how we use that to understand people better, and how that helps us to deliver a model that is a bit more compassionate, a bit more inclusive, rather than our traditional models, which is kind of plonk, here it is, engage with it or don't. Thinking about how we work across the work to build a network of peer and link roles to align delivery. Now, we have some of those roles coming through our services, but we know that many of your organisations offer these kind of roles, and we want to make sure that actually what these roles do that we're offering is fit together with the roles that already exist, rather than repeating work that you're already doing. So actually we've addressed some of the gaps rather than having 2 or 3 organisations all trying to do the same thing. So that's really one of our key things about partnership, is understanding where those gaps are and thinking about together about how we work with those differently. We want to think about training, education, skills both for ourselves, but also there might be stuff that we can offer you that will help you with your offer too, and develop links with local community wellbeing assets. I can't remember who's supposed to be doing this slide. Is this still me?
I think. No, it's
perfect, Craig. I'm very happy for you to do this one.
All right. Breather. Yeah, so we were talking about the place-based sort of care, and across actually for the trust as a whole, all the 3 boroughs are actually have been looking at the sort of deprivation index of deprivation within each borough, and sort of where these areas that we really need to be focused on, because currently under the current system we're focused only in Acton, Avenue House, and in Southall, in Ealing Recovery Team West, and that's kind of leaving the north of the borough. So what we've done is we've used some of the evidence that's been produced by some of to produce these new models of place-based care. So we will be looking to expand up to the north of the borough. So you'll see on that slide, and you'll get it, we'll be trying to move up towards the Northolt and Greenwell sort of primary care networks. So they're based up there, and we believe that'll help us sort of implement the place-based care. So we already have some sort of primary care. We already have primary care working in these areas. However, we need to expand that. So as part of the expansion, this is where we're looking to try and cover additionally to deliver that service. And again, you'll see on the slide pretty much all the sort of things that we've been discussing that we believe will help us to be able to tackle some of these issues, especially around communities that we're not reaching. You know, especially there's some areas of deprivation in the borough that we're not really receiving referrals from where we should be. The evidence suggests that we should be getting referrals from these areas. So we need to expand out in this place-based care to try and find out and get into communities. Why aren't we getting these referrals from these areas as the research suggests we should? So yes, we'll initially be sort of, as you'll see in the bottom right, the sort of percentages each team will sort of cover initially. And then that will include, the North team will include combining some of the East and the West team, which currently stands. But then next year, we'll be looking to try and expand even further. So hopefully we can produce even sort of more services within this area, more resources to help in these areas and link up with our community partners. So that's the current plan, and that's the current setup. And you would have heard, I think Dan introduced himself, and he's going to be one of the new managers that looks at the north of the borough. And then you had William as well, who's currently in Acton, so in part 3 on the slide. And then there'll be myself, who'll be based in Southall, who'll be covering that area and managing that area of the borough. And again, we think this will help us become this sort of mint team where we can be more integrated, so people aren't having to travel far in the borough, that we can be more place-based in the areas that we need to be. Now, I think we're moving on to the rest of the slides, but I think Antonia is having some issues. I think her laptop has restarted, so she might rejoin back in.
I'm back with you now. Yeah.
Is she back?
Yes, I'm back with you.
Oh, there you are. I'll let you take over, Antonia. In terms of where we are with the service, working together, the road ahead, you know, as we've kind of said, starting in the beginning of the year, we started this whole process
and then and then COVID. So where are we at the moment? The early development, July to September 2020. The aim is to work closely with our partners to develop specific elements of the model with a wide range of stakeholders included. And I can hear some of you saying, well, we're just becoming aware of this. I think the pandemic has kind of stalled some of the work that we were doing with the aim of including all our partners in the development of the model. And now that we're where we are, I think we need to engage a bit more with some of the organizations that we haven't actually reached out to. And hopefully from today, some of you would have that link to engage with the process of developing this new way of working. We've also engaged with patients, service users, carers, other agencies that have been involved in the development of the Mint model. We're hoping that we would have additional partners to join us to before we get to implementation at some point. We're aiming the test and learn October to December. We are looking to establish the locality teams, and Craig has talked about the managers of the locality teams. And part of this model, as majority of you would know, the service that we had previously, yes, integrated, only focused on secondary care, but this model is giving an opportunity for us to look at different ways of delivering services. So we are looking at 3 localities in Ealing, and look at professional groups looking at delivering focused professional tasks, and hence my role. So I'm sort of working with the 3 locality teams, managing social care within the 3 locality teams, and also managing rapid transfer and the app service. So somehow we're kind of redesigning our service to engage better with our partners in the way that we're looking at the Mint model. Of course, with your contributions, looking at what we've done so far and what we could be adding to what we've done so far would be really helpful. At this point, we're also agreeing new framework within which specific interventions will be delivered, which is what I just talked about. And in January 2021, we're hoping that we'll be able to validate the plans to deliver the mental health transformation, paying particular attention to advancing inequalities in access, experience, and outcome for groups facing inequalities. And the hope of that is that by January 2021, we would have at least get to the point that we're now implementing, going into 3 localities and start working closely with our partners, the voluntary sector, and we would have shaped this new service in Ealing and start delivering within that framework. And we're hoping that January 2021 will be rolling out the Mint model and start working in all 3 boroughs. We're hoping to increase opportunities for shared clinical space and co-location alongside primary care networks and other services in January, starting from January. The work has started, lots of work going on at the moment, but the implementation, I think now we're actually looking at working virtually and wanting to frame it, but January 2021 would be when we actually set up the 3 localities and start reaching out to primary care networks and our partners and start developing the model in terms of delivering the service. The service still remains a multidisciplinary service, be it that we're looking at different ways of delivering multidisciplinary models in the service. And hopefully we hope that what we've focused on delivering within secondary care, we're hoping to kind of slightly change that so we can reach out to communities and our service users in a different way rather than business as usual. Rob, you go to slide 12. So what are the next steps? Over the coming months, there will be many opportunities to contribute to the development of this new model. And that would mean engaging all of you and all of you reaching out to the trust and contributing what you feel you can contribute to designing and molding this new way of working in Ealing. And come up with some challenges that we might face in the implementation of it, contribute your questions so that we can look for solutions to those questions, how we can ensure that our patients and service users experience continuity of care during this period of change. What can we do to support closer working and integration with a wide range of health, social, and community? And those are some of the reason of for us having this meeting, but also that's our next step at the moment for everyone to contribute to the shaping of this new way of working. So as well. So we welcome your involvement. This is the end of the presentation, and if there's any outside of today, of course, people would go away and reflect on how do we interface with the trust in the delivery of this new model of working. You can reach out to the trust by emailing the Mint team, and it's on the presentation, and we're hoping that Toby would circulate it to everyone that attended this presentation today. Email the Mint team or the service manager for the Ealing Mental Health Community Services, John Loft. The emails are on the slides. Do please email us with your contribution, and we are looking forward to working very closely with all of you to design and frame the new service. Thank you very much.
Well, that was great. Thank you very much. Yes, I do have that presentation, so I will be sending that around later. Just a little bit aware of the time. If there's some questions now, we could just 3 or 4 minutes. And I'm thinking maybe the Mint team could come back in December, give people a chance to maybe digest the information, and we could get another update then. But has anyone got any questions they'd like to put now?
Can I just a wee quick suggestion, if I may? So I think this the kind of closer partnership working, I think it's absolutely fantastic idea, and I'm sure you're kind of doing a lot to sort of engage with service users, organisations, and so on. And you may possibly have thought of this already, but I'm wondering if it might be useful once all this social distancing is lifted, perhaps to kind of visit organisations such as CAPE and EACH and so on, perhaps like spend a day, half a day with us to kind of see sort of the day-to-day operations. I think it might offer sort of more insights than might be captured on Zoom and board meetings and so on. So it's kind of like extending an invitation, if I may. So
Definitely.
And I don't think so. To come in, I don't think we should wait for. I mean, I think we are in a difficult situation, but absolutely invite us and talk to us. And I think if working out which managers link with you best and do some visits, over the next couple of months.
Yeah, fantastic, even better. Yeah, thank you. Brilliant.
I can see Lakvir's got her hand raised.
I do. I think, thank you for the presentation. Really, really helpful to get that understanding of where the direction that you're moving to. I think there are actually a lot of questions that the presentation does raise, and I'm not sure the next few minutes in itself will do justice to that. So I would really welcome maybe a session solely discussing what's being proposed and some of the key, there are some questions that are raised for me, and I think that it'd be good to have that opportunity to have a much wider conversation around those issues. So that's
maybe
what I'm
in the
putting out
next
there.
mental health forum we could purely focus on this, and we can maybe use Zoom to break out into little groups so we can get more discussions going and things like that. I don't know what people think of that as an idea.
I think that's a great idea, Toby, but I think in the meantime, as Antonia said, use the email addresses on the presentation and just email us, Lakvir, and we can always catch up with you outside of this. We'd be more than happy to start having some conversations, because we're in the middle of doing so much work. That would be great.
Right. Can I come back to that? I think that's one aspect of this, where you can have conversations with individual organisations who've got experience and expertise in this area. But I think sometimes when you have a collective voice, it's also about, for me, for example, there's an underlying assumption that voluntary groups and community groups are going to have the capacity and the ability and the resources to be a partner and to support the implementation. And I think that in itself also requires a wider conversation. So I think I think it needs both, to be honest, from my perspective. I'm happy to, and I would welcome and kind of a conversation outside the meeting, but I think there also needs to be more of a wider conversation as well with voluntary organisations.
I absolutely agree with you, and I think your comment in the chat, like, there was really is such a real situation for you across the board in terms of funding for voluntary sector organisations. So yeah, note that completely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to
if I can just from the community.
I just want to just sorry to cut you off there, Anna. I just wanted to just go back to that question, because I think it's a really important point around the resourcing in third sector organisations. And I think the pandemic has really illustrated, that actually we don't have a lot of communication, with these third sector organisations, and we don't know who's overwhelmed, who has capacity. And I think, certainly during this time, we were kind of scrabbling around and wondering who's open, who's not open, and it really has shown us that actually there is kind of like a big gap between us and the third sector organisations. And we need to know, are we referring people that you don't have capacity for? Or are we, getting the referrals incorrect sometimes? Are we sending people to you who are completely inappropriate? And I think having these kind of dialogues and moving forward, it'd be good to just have these regular conversations, not just now as we kind of introduce this, but also ongoing in the future, regular forums where we can talk about these issues collectively.
If I can just add to it, Anna, from a Polish community organization, even the challenge of many community organizations or organizations that don't have paid workers. The problem is, even if you have Zoom conference, it's about the time. I struggle to answer the emails. I'm unpaid director of the organization. I need to make my living. I want to share, and I feel such a huge loss of not being able to connect with my community, to get their voices and to share those voices. So even if we have a platform, the problem is the time and resources to even be, part of it. This is my voluntary time, and I'm really struggling. And this is just my voice, but I'm sure there are many organizations, and quite often I hear that communities, hard to reach communities, and we keep talking about this. And we are in the same situation. If people like representatives of the community groups, if are not supported in a way that they can, work with the community and then share their voices, it will be going around the circle. This is, a similar situation. So this is just my voice. Thank you.
I totally agree. It's Antonia here. I totally agree. I do think that it'd be useful for us to kind of look at what is the difference in what we've been doing. How will that impact in the service that you're delivering and working closely with the trust with? And then, as Rob has just pointed out, part of this whole process, there is a plan to allocate some of the funding that is coming from NHS England to voluntary sector. But it's key for us to look at what is the difference in what we've been doing previously, and how does that impact our different organizations, and what additional resource would we need to deliver this new model of working. And I think the idea of lots of questions, meeting in December would be to inform you as to where we are. But for me, I would have thought it would be useful to meet at some point, perhaps even before December, for us to digest some of the questions that you put forward, give you some answers to those questions. So by December and January, we've got closer to working together. That's what I would have suggested. I don't know what you think, Bill.
I mean, I suppose my take is, I've just put something in the chat. I think it's about it's about being very flexible, isn't it? I mean, the fact that you've all been able to come to this forum today is amazing, and I get that, Anna, about your unpaid time. But there's also a bit about us coming to you and joining in things that you've got on offer. So if you've got a forum coming up where there's lots of people from the community there, or you think there's something that we can join in, then let us know, and one of us can come, or the relevant person for that particular neighbourhood. So I think that's the two-way conversation about how because we want to come out, and I think Craig made a really good point when he was doing his part of the presentation about, we are trying to say to you, we don't think you're hard to reach, we think we're hard to access, and we're trying to change that, you know, that conversation, because we know that message has been out there for too long and it's the wrong way round. Yeah.
Okay, shall we say then we're putting the diary Friday the 27th, same time in 4 weeks. A good chance for people to digest this. They can ask the Mint team questions directly, and anything that isn't resolved there or any further questions, I think it's really important we come back to discussing it more. We'll allocate another slot to this, because obviously so many different questions to ask. So I'm going to move on now, but thank you very much to the Mint team. Very interesting, a lot of information there to review. So like I say, I will be sending that around later. Okay, so now let's move on to Damien from MindMapper. He's going to tell us about this new website. And Damien, I've got your presentation should you have any problems showing it. So over to you.
Awesome, amazing. Let me try and share my screen here. Ah, amazing. Technology is actually working. How cool is that? So first of all, big shout out to Toby and Meg for the invitation. Hello to Ealing and the various organizations that are here today. What I'm going to do and try and cover in these 10 minutes is a bit about me and why I'm here, and a bit about MindMapper and what we do. So first things first, my name is Damien. I grew up in Haringey, so yes, I am trespassing, but hopefully you guys could let me off on this one. From the age of 17, I have basically served as part of my local youth council. So I was elected as the chair of the youth council at age 17. And that basically led me to represent young people from Haringey all over the UK on various boards and et cetera. And you know, for the 2-year period that I got to work with young people and got to work with my local council up in North London, I had this vision for young people actually being able to co-create the world around them. Typo mistake there. And so that basically led me to being scouted by Haringey Council in designing one of the very few youth-led consultancies where young people actually get paid work for working with local organizations to designing and delivering services. So yeah, and that was part of a 1.5 million fund by the Mayor of London in trying to target disadvantaged young people and improving their chances of life. So I've basically been in the council space for the last 6 years as a youth worker. And I guess my story as a young person is that you know, I was your general class clown. You know, you could see me anywhere and everywhere that you could. I got involved in extracurricular activities. I played all sorts of sports. You know, I was one of the gifted and talented young people in science and English. But as you went into year 11, as I went into year 11, various different changes in my life. You know, so much pressure from exams, so much pressure. At the time I was playing professional football. I just signed a 2-year contract with a football academy that I was supposed to transition from year 11 into college. And what ended up happening was I ended up having so much pressure in me as a person that I broke down twice, ended up having 2 panic attacks. And that kind of led my journey into mental health. Didn't really know what it was. I was kind of thrown into this, and I was left with no confidence, and I had to start from scratch. So at 16, I did what any other young person would do. The first thing that I went to is my local GP. And my GP started a referral process for accessing mental health support. Over the next 2 years, I worked with 4 different counselors trying to understand my mental health. And after finally being diagnosed as you know, you're okay to go do your thing, I graduated from CAMS, and CAMS basically involved me in helping to co-design 3 mental health programs over the next 2 years. But I was so interested in the mental health space that, you know, I really wanted to go deeper in. And so in 2018, I co-founded an organization called My Mind Matters Too. And what we basically do is consultancy, we do research, and we basically wanted to give a platform for young people to actually speak up on their mental health challenges and be able to, for them to work with organizations like your local council, your university, and even your UK government. One of the big things that we've created this year is the Mind Up report. This is the first needs assessment for young people that was co-written by 538 young Londoners between the ages of 16 and 25. There's actually a few young people that have contributed to that from Ealing Council itself, from the Ealing Borough itself. And I guess just to share a few stats with you that we found quite interesting is that, you know, 95% of us will experience a mental health challenge by the time we turn 30, but 75% of us never receive any support at all, which is quite interesting. We wanted to understand, you know, what is about mental health that young people tend to struggle with the most. And funny enough, it wasn't mental health per se, it was actually employment that became the biggest challenge for our young people over this last couple months. So we had employment, mental health, and societal perceptions being the main challenges that young people deal with. On top of finances and the kind of, this year, obviously we had COVID, we had the Black Lives Matters movement, and we have the government's ineptitude towards young people and general society. And one of the big things that came out of this report is that young people, this was the direct quote from one of the young people, which was, accessing support, it's long, it's scary, and it's confusing. With only 8.6% of 538 young adults, 8.6% have said that they would actually go to the NHS or professional support for mental health support, which was just incredible to figure out. Part of the work that we also do, and this is just for the report, if anyone would like access to it, please give me a shout afterwards. I'm more than happy to send that over to anyone. Part of the work that we also do is obviously our whole team is under the age of 25. Majority of us are still students. And so we give services the opportunity to work with young people in designing and delivering services, but we also are trained to be able to deliver workshops ourselves, which always has that kind of peer-to-peer element. Now, over the last couple months, what we've really gone on to create is Mind Mapper. Mind Mapper is one of the first digital mental health gyms for young adults. And what we do here is break down the stigma of not tapping into mental health support, but instead working on your mental health with other young adults in a safe and inclusive environment, in a way that actually suits you. So as an organization, what we could do, and to always, you know, one of the big things that we do at Mind Mapper is create inclusive communities. So for organizations, we could actually create a virtual mental health gym for Ealing, which would mean that only Ealing, only young people from Ealing could tap into that specific gym. And we could also hire young people from Ealing to be able to deliver some of those sessions. So there's always that community element to it. You know, a big thing that obviously young people want in the 21st century is a choice. So diversifying your offerings. We have 9 different features, all of them designed, delivered, and tested from young people that essentially, you know, have proven to support young people's mental health. And so that means that we are on 24/7. Any young person that ever wants to reach out to their own personal mental health trainer or connect with an accountability partner that we call Mind Buddies, or tap into a monthly challenge. Like this month, we were doing a 21-day habit challenge, helping young people learn new habits. My habit was 5 a.m. wake-ups and morning yoga. You could probably think how fun that must have been, waking up when it's dark outside. And the third thing that we do is obviously connect your communities. So a lot of the organizations on this call specifically have fantastic services, you know. Some of you guys have counselors, some of you guys have clinical models, some of you guys have youth centers. And a big problem that we found with our recent report is that young people often don't have the motivation, they don't know where to go to access these services, they're just kind of left hopeless. So as part of designing this mental health gym, we can also engage your local services in featuring some of those services on the platform and being able to signpost young people to those services. So we're always focusing on this community peer-to-peer led approach. Now, so far we've tested the MindMapper community with 42 MindMappers just a few months ago, and 93% of them have reported that they've increased they have an improved mental health. And if anyone wants to see the case studies of them, I've got tons, so please ask me afterwards. And roughly already for the report, which is set to be published next week, the full report, we've already had 50 organizations signed up, from the UK government to public and private sector organizations. The team behind us, pretty much we're all students. The team from us ranges across 3 different continents. A lot of us are students at universities, from KCL to UCL to York to Cambridge. So there's always that peer-to-peer element. And we're always happy to recruit more volunteers as well. It seems like young people just like to give their time, and especially when they're getting something in return. These last 6 months have been incredibly busy for us, from graduating from the King's 20 Accelerator to being featured on all sorts of media platforms for the work that we've done over lockdown, supporting young people with their mental health. We launched the MindMapper community back in July with 150 signups literally in the first week, so we were oversubscribed. And then we launched a private community of 42 MindMappers where we tested and built evidence on whether MindMapper actually improves mental health. And I could, again, show the case studies for that to anyone that's interested. And just next week, we're also going to be pitching by the side of the Mayor of London and various directors of universities, both in the UK and in the US, for the London conference, which we're super excited about. And next week, Saturday, the 7th of November, we are publishing the full report for the Mind Up 2020. What we're currently looking for, we piloted the MindMapper community with a small group, but we would like to see if this could scale at a much bigger level. So we're looking for 1 university and 1 London council to pilot MindMapper with. You would have your own community, and you'd have your own project manager that would work on this. And so it's a pretty easy fit for us to give you your own platform and have your own virtual mental health gym for young adults in your area. I guess that's all from me. I'm Damien. I'm one of the co-founders here at MindMapper, and we're making mental health simple for young adults. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Wow, thanks, Damien. That's very inspiring. Yeah, I'm kind of blown away. The fact that you've kind of, from your own experiences and developed it, that's fantastic. Anyone got any questions for Damien?
Yeah, sorry, I don't have my camera on. I'm Wanda. I'm the project manager who works for Community Mental Health Services in West London Trust. Really great to hear about this. What we're trying to do, so during this time of the year, NHS England usually send us around bids of how we're going to think about supporting different areas within our services. And one of the areas that has come up for us to review is young people's needs. So while we've worked with Young Minds and we've done audits on what we're doing within the service, we're always keen to figure out, we've been racking our brains on who to contact and how could we think about what support is there in the community. I was literally just having this conversation yesterday, so it feels quite important that I'm on this call now. But we were talking about the fact that digital inclusion is really key, especially for young people. It's not always that you want to pick up the phone or have a letter or talk to your GP, and sometimes it's not the best place to go for support. Like it should be peer-to-peer. So we were considering what do we know, what sort of services are out there, who do we contact, and we were really struggling. So I would be very keen if we could exchange details to think about how we support the young people. And I'm not just thinking for Ealing, I'm thinking across the 3 boroughs that we cover, so for Hammersmith and Hounslow as well, and really thinking about how we think about all our young people across the 3 as well. So I'd be quite keen to start some discussions there.
Yeah, absolutely. More than happy to.
Brilliant. I see lots of people put in the chat wanting copies of your report. Damien, if you want to dip in there, or I can copy and paste and send that on to you afterwards. Anyone else got a question for Damien?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Damien, what's your general demographic of people that are using MindMapper?
Oh, boy. So from the 50 young people that we've piloted with MindMapper, generally they're between the ages of 18 to 26. A lot of them are students. We've had a few that are not in education or employment. And we've also had a few kind of older college students. So we have 2 older college students. Generally, 55% of that were coming from BAME backgrounds. So we had quite a good split. Yeah, a lot of them aren't young people that have tapped into the professional support or university support, because from what they've informed us, that they didn't know how to tap into it, or they didn't have the confidence. So yeah, we've got quite a good range of young people, majority of which are from London. But we also had 7 young people that tapped into MindMapper from other countries. We had 3 young people tapping in from Africa. We had 2 tapping in from the US. And we had 1 tapping in from New Zealand. So yeah, that's a bit about demographics. Unless you have any that you wanted to ask specifically.
It was just about guys, because I know with our project steps, we were having this conversation with one of our events, how sometimes it can be really difficult to reach out to men, particularly sort of younger men, about their mental health. How did you kind of find that? So I can see by the case studies you have a few young men on there. I don't know what your experience is or what advice you kind of have in terms of that.
Yeah, so one of the things that we've discovered, thank you for the question. One of the things that we've discovered in the Mind Up report is naturally women are a lot more forthcoming to talk about their mental health challenges compared to men. Men are more likely to isolate, and even seeing the difference between the challenges faced by each gender. Women have said the biggest challenge for them was mental health. For men, it was employment, and mental health was actually the third thing. What we've done in the community is actually, because of that peer-to-peer element, and because we actively share stories, and tapping into a mental health gym compared to tapping into a mental health service is reducing that stigma. We did manage to have quite a few young men coming in. So we had in the first cohort that we ran, we had about 40% that were men. Again, reaching between the ages of 19 and 26. So Brian over here was the eldest. Yeah, and that kind of that community for men was quite helpful, because we also ran a few sessions about individual sessions with genders. So we had one session specifically for men to talk about us kind of guy things going on. And of course I can't share some of the insight from that, but we did talk about what it means to be a man in society, what it means to be a man in a relationship. I'm a man and I'm currently struggling quite a bit, and I don't know what to do or who to go to. Yeah, so it was definitely quite nice, especially being a guy myself, to have that kind of support system with other guys.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much, Damien. It's been really good having you today, and it's great putting you in touch with everyone. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of interest in your project, and maybe you could come back in a couple of months and give us an update, and it'd just be great to know how this project develops.
Amazing. Is it okay if I just stay on just to take all of the notes and stuff?
Of course, yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, maybe there's been so much interest in in the report and things, maybe I could just send it around to everyone if that's okay. But, and then you can just send it to me if that makes it easier. Okay, now we're going to move on to Meg and I have been working together because it's National Stress Awareness Day on the 4th of November, and we thought, okay, what are we going to do to promote this? So Meg and I went on our separate ways. I did something, I created something. It's something lighthearted and funny. I'm just going to share it with you now because what I'd like you to do, if possible, is I'll send it around, the actual video and the links. And it's a little viral campaign, hopefully viral, if people will share it and find it useful and funny. I'm going to send it out to everyone, and then all the groups and individuals can put it on their own Facebook sites. And yeah, it's a talking dog about mental health. So I produced it myself. So I'll play it to you. Let's hope it works. I just got to make sure. Okay, so this will be the actual, this is the actual video, and then underneath is all the links of the things that the dog's going to tell you about. So okay, here you go.
Hello, I'm Lola and I'm a therapy dog. I love helping people feel better. They come up, tickle my tummy and walk away with a big smile on their face. But you know, therapy dogs can't help everyone feel better. So as it's National Stress Awareness Day on Wednesday, 4th of November, I thought I'd share some links to some information that can really help you feel better. First of all, have you thought about volunteering? There's some great opportunities available in Ealing and Hounslow. Just click the link. Also, exercise can make a huge difference to your general mood and just really give you that lift you need. There's free exercise groups across Ealing and Hounslow too. Just click on the link. If you are really feeling very stressed and anxious, well, just take the next steps forward and click on the link so you can access free advice and support and counselling. See you soon. Bye!
Right, so yeah, it's amazing what you can do with what's out there on the internet. Didn't take long, but I just thought it might be a good way to share some good tips with people. So I'll send that around, and yeah, it'd be great if you can upload it to your social media. Okay, so now Meg's going to talk about another initiative she's arranging for National Stress Awareness Day. It's a town hall event, and for those who don't know, some people get confused. Well, I did, about what town hall means. It doesn't mean meeting in a town hall. It means kind of coming together and sharing. But yeah, Meg, if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Toby. I love watching that video. I think it makes me smile even more every time, even though I've seen it of the dog. So yeah, just going to reiterate, you share that round. We thought it would be a really unique way just to get people thinking about mental health and not be so scary. We wanted to also plan something which would bring the community together. Often when we talk about mental health, it's difficult to engage everyone when you're not basically being able to be out there. COVID has affected the way in which we interact, but that doesn't mean that we don't need to interact at all. So we put together, myself and one of my colleagues have put together a sort of town hall open discussion called Let's Talk About Stress. And for many of us in our jobs, our lives, with all the changes during COVID, stress levels have increased by over 45%. The research is there. And especially when we're approaching the end of the year and the constant restriction changes, we're going to see a lot of people really struggling. They don't get to sort of spend time with their family as much as we would over the Christmassy periods. So we thought it'd be a really great way to actually bring services to people. On World Mental Health Day, which was on Saturday, the 10th of October, we hosted a pop-up information store in Ealing Broadway Shopping Centre, and we had a really, really great turnout. We spoke to over 150 people that day in a 3-hour slot, which was fantastic. And we gave out over 75% of our materials. So it was really, really great to see so many people talking about mental health. But when we asked everyone, we asked a few questions because I really wanted to test the waters. I wanted to ask people if they knew where to go for support in Ealing, and a good 95% of people said they didn't know. And that is shocking, because when I look at this forum, we have so many amazing services and a lot of different support groups that people should be able to tap into. Project Steps is all about community-led services and signposting people. So I want to kind of host this town hall to encourage people to have conversations about mental health, but also be able to interact with services firsthand. Love as many of you to be able to attend. We'll be hosting that on Friday, the 6th of November. It's going to be a late one. It's from 6 to 7:30, but it's a very, very quick. So it'll be like an hour conversation by a guided meditation and yoga session. And we've got wonderful Kelvin from Cape and Toby from Ealing who are going to speak in, but we've also invited a range of other services like Mind, expecting someone from the NHS as well to join us, as well as some campaigners and our local politicians who should, fingers crossed, they've got busy schedules, but said they may be able to drop by to attend. So people was possible on that Friday evening, that would be brilliant. Just have kind of like a fireside chat about stress, what it means, and how we can access support and how we can come together in this community to raise awareness about mental health and services. So yeah, that's it from me. I can talk for England. If there's any questions, please let me know.
That sounds great, and I like the idea of the guided meditation and yoga at the end on a Friday evening. That sounds really appealing. Any questions for Meg?
We do. We have a leaflet that will be sent out hopefully by the end of today, and the Eventbrite link as well to you all as soon as possible, as soon as it's finished by my colleague. 10, so it's a completely free event. Please do share around the link, as many people as we can get. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, if you want to send it all to me, Meg, and then I'll forward it all. Okay, that's great. Thanks. Carolyn, do you want to, I'm aware of the time as well, do you want to give a very quick update about volunteering?
Yeah, sure. I'm coming through.
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. Okay, thanks everyone. So as I said earlier, I'm the Volunteering and Communities Manager overseeing our volunteer support offer in Ealing and in Hounslow. Also, we'll be setting up West Ealing Library when we can. And the other important thing is that we are launching Ealing Giving, which is part of Ealing and Hounslow Giving, on the 1st of December. So we will be basically sending information around to all corporates and businesses in both boroughs to encourage them to give locally in any way they can. So really, I have 3 asks from you. One is that we would like any information. We want to be able to signpost people who come to us to volunteer for employment, because we think this is a really important, and we need to focus on this as part of the recovery effort. So any support services that lead to employability, confidence building, anything like that, because we're not able to provide any supported volunteering at the moment. So we want to be able to effectively signpost people if they come our way. The second ask is just that if you need volunteers to please get in touch with us. We've got many more volunteers coming to us asking to volunteer than we have roles at the moment. And I don't think that's because there aren't volunteer opportunities out there. I think it's because people are too busy to get in touch and let us know. So we can help you get those up onto our new database if you need. And then the third thing, which I really hope will be helpful for you all, is that not only are we launching Ealing Giving on the 1st of December, but we're also supporting both Ealing and Hounslow Council in their winter warmth campaigns. So as part of our drive to get volunteers engaged in social action, as well as sort of long-term volunteering, committed volunteering, we're trying to gather opportunities for people to support to tackle winter challenges. So whether that's overcoming isolation, helping out at the food bank, those kinds of things. But we're also asking for things that people can donate. So again, food bank items, Christmas hamper items, anything like that that you have coming up in the next few months that either residents or corporates can support with, please send them my way, and we will host that on our website and send it out into the community really widely. The resident ask is going out in the next few weeks. And like I say, the corporate ask is going out on the 1st of December. And just to give you an idea of the sort of corporate ask, the things that people have come back to so far to request are things like laptops, food vouchers for carers over Christmas, short-term volunteers for small projects, storage space, sponsorship for kit, items for family Christmas hampers, work placements. So corporates could provide work placements for people who are seeking employment. And that was actually with West London NHS Trust, who came up with that. So a real variety of possibilities. So please do get in touch with me if you have any needs for our community wish list. Okay, does anyone have any questions?
I was just going to say, Carolyn, that Meg put in the chat about how to get in touch about to get volunteers. Don't know if you want to put your email address in there.
Yeah, I'll pop my email address in there. You can just get in touch with me direct.
That sounds great.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to move on then to the last bit. So I'm just going to give an overview of other forums that are available and just to run through their differences. And thank you very much to Sarah, who's going to talk about the Talking Therapies forum. So just before she does that, I'm just going to outline other forums that I'm kind of connected to, just to give you some insight. So there is in addition to the Ealing Mental Health Forum, there is the Ealing Mental Health Employment Forum. So that is run by Gina Hayden from West London NHS Trust Recovery Services. And a lot of people, some people from this also go to that one. Like, for example, Maggie, who's from the DWP and the Disability Department of the Job Centre. So yes, that forum, similar to this, but the focus is just on employment, the process of finding employment for people facing mental health challenges. So of course, that includes volunteering. So Carolyn's going to be taking over my role on the steering group of the Ealing Mental Health Employment Forum. Whereas that meets on a quarterly basis, whereas this one currently meets on a monthly basis, and this one is about mental health in general and doesn't have that particular focus. So I think it's really important to make that distinction so people know there is that. And the next meeting for the Mental Employment Forum is Friday the 8th of January, 10 till 12. And I can send around Gina's email address if you want more details about that or would like to go on that circulation list. So Sarah, would you like to just talk a little bit about the Talking Therapies Network? And I'm sorry that you've I hope the rest of the meeting.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I feel like I should be summarising and making some jokes to make sure everybody's still just about going. I'll be really brief. So CAPE has the opportunity, and actually the Talking Therapies Network's been running for a while, but we have just started them up again. And basically, if you are running a talking therapy service, so a psychotherapy or counselling service in the Ealing Borough, and you would like to join us, you are incredibly welcome. It is quite specific to talking therapies. We normally have someone from the recovery teams there, and I think Jamie Kelly was there last time, and Donal Leddy, and someone from IAPT as well. And then the other, you know, there's a vast array of us across this massive borough, aren't there, of people who offer talking therapies. So you are always welcome. And obviously at the moment we are talking mostly about COVID and online services and boundaries and that kind of thing. But we cover low fee, low cost therapy like metanoia and Ealing Abbey and Bereft and the Asian Family Counselling Service, across to, you know, people like us at CAPE who have a specific therapy service for people with severe and enduring mental health issues. So yeah, little spectrum, but yes, please join us. Let me know, or let Toby know, and he can put you in touch with me if you would like to join us in that meeting. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thanks, Sarah. Has anyone got any questions now about the various forums, if anyone's got any burning questions? So, the Ealing and Hounslow mental health one isn't currently funded at all, and we are hoping that Ealing Council might give us some funding. And yes, so hopefully Ben, well, who's the head of mental health services, was going to join this meeting, but I don't think he's been able to. But I've recorded this, so I can send that to him anyway. So has anyone got anything else they'd like to discuss in this meeting in the last 2 minutes? I feel like we've got through quite a lot in this meeting, so it's been good. Anyone else got anything else they'd like to add?
Just a request, Anna from Pulse in Need. As I mentioned, and I wrote in a box in a chat. Now I'm turning into full-time working on a project till end of the year. I only have funding till end of the year, and the question mark is for another year about creating this portal online. It's only for Polish community, but we also will be creating the English version for professionals. So, you know, if someone would like to know what's there for Polish speaking clients, it would be helpful to understand, you know, what's in Polish. So anyone who is aware of any information that is translated into Polish and you would like to share with, you know, Polish speaking clients, maybe Toby, if you can put my email address for the, you know, after the meeting,
yeah,
I would appreciate that, and I will be more connected now because I've closed one project, and now I'll be more available to be in touch, and I will respond more responsive, I would say. Thank you.
Okay then.
Oh, sorry, can I quickly?
Sure.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, just jump in here quickly, squeeze in a minute. I guess some of us might be aware that recently had a discussion on the possibility of a co-production charter for Ealing. So that seems to be looking quite good. We've had quite a lot of interest. So what I'm looking for at the moment is to be putting together a like a committee of service users who will be feeding into sort of the main, I don't want to say the main, but a committee of, let's say, the professional class, let's say, to help kind of co-design a charter to be used across the borough. I will shortly be putting out a leaflet advertisement looking for service users to take part, but I just want to kind of put it out into the public arena right now, looking for people who want to join, service users who want to join the committee. It will be slightly specific that we'll need people who are online because there's no other way of doing things at the moment, and who are quite happy to engage and represent service users as a whole, and quite happy speaking with people at the statutory level as well. So there's going to be quite a lot of negotiation in the role. So it's going to be pretty intensive in some respects. I'm looking at it also as an opportunity to expand on people's skill set as well. So it will be, you know, something that people will get something from as well. Also looking into the possibility of it being a paid role as well, possibility, but I just want to put that out there, but in don't say too much straight away, let's say, okay. So if there's anybody that you know, service users who might be interested, please do let them know, and please let them get them in touch with me. We're looking to set this up ASAP. If there's any questions or any thoughts, you can also contact me. That's kelvin@capeproject.org.uk. That's KELVIN @capeproject.org.uk. So that would be great if you can do that. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Kelvin. Okay then, well, that's been a very good meeting. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I will look forward to seeing everyone at the end of November on Friday the 27th of November, same time. Okay, till then, take care and have a nice weekend, everyone.
And
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Toby.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Toby.